I got to get ready to dance when we get on screen.
I was so excited to go
on.
I forgot to play the intro.
We got Ted McMillan. We got Ted McMillan.
See, I told you, Joe was so excited we just had to go live. We didn't even do a countdown.
We got Ted McMillan. We got Ted McMillan. We got.
Which, not Gov. Logan, we're not joining a contest. This is a hypothetical lineup.
Yeah, that's.
Oh yeah, no, there's no contest here. We're just building a lineup.
Well, technically, as long
and
as
we're not even gonna build it all the way. We're just gonna like get most.
No, the new rule.
We're gonna talk through it.
You can show a lineup, but you can't tell them where you're putting the contest. So hypothetically, we are just building this lineup for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's not a lot of great contests out there. Come on, DraftKings. Like, we're playing. Let's come on. At least keep some stuff decent.
There really isn't.
Like keep the mini max a decent amount. Come on.
I think it's a bit strange. Me and Double G were actually talking about this before we get to the draft about how like FanDuel last week extended their player props. Like the first week they had like 5 player props. Now they're up to like 22. There's more websites like playing around with that. We saw Underdog sponsor their like Super Bowl or their like championship run during the playoffs. I'm really surprised like The Rock or one of the investment teams hasn't just like thrown a bunch of promotional dollars at like a FanDuel or DraftKings, one of these operations. But I mean,
that's like behind the scenes stuff. My bad. Yeah.
I mean, I like the league, so this gives me another reason to care about it. So I'll keep playing the contest anyways. And I play a lot of WNBA, so I'm used to smaller contests, but it is slightly disappointing. Mostly because I think the UFL is pretty consistent. Like I've actually really enjoyed the product. So how do you guys consume the draft? Because I'm really curious because I know you guys don't watch a ton of college. You're not totally tone deaf to college, but you don't watch a ton.
I
didn't know much, but
I've been locked into the draft because the Patriots are picking so high. So I've been locked into what's been going on.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted Travis Hunter to fall, but I knew realistically we were going to end up with Will Campbell. And there's no complaints. I'm a little worried that he won't be able to defend the best pass or block the best pass rushers in the NFL, like a Myles Garrett, the quicker guys, or the 9 technique guys that come out. But he'll be fine. I imagine him to be a consistent starting tackle for the next 10 years.
Yeah, that's something that it's fine to draft in the first round. Lock that up.
Yeah. As weird as it sounds, like when I was in the 90s and watching it on ESPN or some of these bigger networks, I really didn't like the draft because it was all like Disney stories or like feel-good stories, or like you could never hear anything negative or even a jaded opinion about prospects. And now like we're in the internet era and streams, and people are just giving you like raw data and real information. I find it a lot more transparent and just honest. Like general managers are more like honest with their information, their press conferences. Players seem looser. So I actually really like that kind of stuff. I just never liked it when it was like paint by numbers and like feel good stories. Because I want you to say like I like this pick or I didn't like this pick. So I like it a lot more that there's a lot more alternative options. Well, I mentioned it, and you weren't here, Gov. I was listening to a podcast, Todd McShay's new podcast, and he was talking to a lot of general managers. And he asked him, as a scout as a front office, basically, how many picks do you have to succeed for it to be a successful draft? Do you have any idea what he said?
Probably just one.
One would
just the first round pick.
See, you guys are better at this game than I thought. Because I was like, well, there's 7 rounds, so 4 picks, right? I think when I asked Donnie last week, he said 2.
I said 2. 2 is like really happy. You're happy if you have 2.
So the answer was
no. If you get your first round pick, the rest of the draft can be a bust. You got the first rounder right.
Right.
And he'll be a star for the rest of for as long as you can keep him on your team.
He said,
if you draft a 10-time Pro Bowler, yes, you're always happy.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, that's the only way you really succeed in the first round. You have to draft a dude who gets through his 5-year deal, and then you want to re-sign him. So he's probably playing minimum 8 to 10 for you.
That is true. Like Lamar Jackson.
That's the success of a first-round pick, 100%.
Like getting Lamar Jackson late in that first round a couple of years ago. But the answer was 3, Gov. Basically, most general managers said if they got 3 players, no matter where they got them, first round through 7, if they got 3 starters, they considered that a successful draft. That was like a check.
Okay, I can see that.
They said if they got 4, that was like a good year. If they can somehow get 4 or 5, that's like generational. Like that's like they were like Brad Holmes got a couple of those.
Yeah, that's an amazing draft class
Right.
that usually puts you in the Super Bowl contention with 4 or 5 guys who can gel like that for a few years and just get better.
But I really like just quickly what the Panthers did with Eric Eager, because I like that they have an identity and they stuck with it. Like similar to what the Lions did when Dan Campbell took over, he wanted to build a really stout, trench warfare kind of team. He picks Penei Sewell. They get big, versatile defensive linemen and offensive linemen. And it seems like the Panthers are just going like big body receivers, big body targets, with the tight end, with the wide receivers. They're all kind of the same guy, but like they're interchangeable that way. I really like that.
Yeah, no, like that offense should be like offensive line was already solid last year. If it just stays pace, like now you've got 2 big bodied wide receivers. You got Thielen in the slot. You got a tight end. The running backs are a great duo in Chuba and Rico. Like, I wouldn't sleep on my Panthers next year. Like, I was thinking they could have a breakout one last year just because our schedule looked so easy. And it's going to be easy again this year.
Yeah. And then before we were talking about the Jags and like what their progression was. Is it a 2-year plan? Is it a 3-year plan? It reminds me of exactly what the Patriots just did. Sometimes these things are more of a series of things. You get the quarterback in the last year, and then you're like, hey, what goes great with the quarterback? Oh yeah, a bookend, offensive lineman. Let me get a nasty Campbell offensive lineman. Now I love this pick, Donnie, but I'm not in your building. What is the vibe from an actual fan? Are you because you said that arm length was a concern for you. I just like the dog mentality. I
mean, like I said, how many left tackles in the league? Anyway, this is how I feel about it. How many left tackles in the league are blocking Myles Garrett? 1? 2? Okay, so as long as I get a starter for the next 10 years, I'm happy. And if you felt like that's what you were getting with Will Campbell, which I feel like that's how most fans feel, take him. I wanted Travis Hunter, but he wasn't worth trading up for as a Patriots player. Maybe the Jaguars felt it was worth it, but the Patriots shouldn't have because they needed so many things. They're not in that position yet.
The Jaguars clearly feel like they've got what they need, and they're in like year 2 or 3 of a 5-year plan. Like they clearly think they're farther along than I think anyone else thinks. And maybe they'll surprise us, but like I don't see it.
The Patriots now have Morgan Moses at right tackle, Bradbury at center. They have, Will Campbell at left tackle. Their guards, they have Owenu and Cole Strange when he plays. If he plays, we'll see. That's 5. That's a pretty overall decent starting 5. As long as they gel together. It will take a month probably of actually playing in-game to gel together because new offensive lines that are this new together don't work out well usually early. But it can't be worse than last year.
Let's not pretend like a guard isn't valuable or like it really matters at this point if you're a right tackle or a left tackle. I just think you should play whatever position you're best at. Like Penei Sewell is a tremendous right tackle, but that's because we have Decker. Like that's because we have other great offensive linemen. And then you look at teams like the Eagles, it's like the collection of who you got, like Donnie just mentioned, spending the right amount of money in free agency to pair with other great talent. Like I just feel like too much gets played with like, oh, his arms are short. It's like, oh, if he kicks in and he's a Hall of Fame guard, that's still a great pick at 4. There's so many busts, quarterbacks even bust. Like a very valuable position like quarterback even bust.
Yeah, we don't know what Cam Ward's going to do. Like we haven't seen another quarterback go off the board yet, right? Hold on, let me double check. I don't believe so.
No quarterback yet. We're waiting on Shador and Jackson Dart, which are both expected to be
Shador is probably going to be tomorrow.
The Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh probably.
I think
if someone doesn't trade up, Shador, I think will go 21.
We're close. Like we're at Seattle. Like Pittsburgh's 4 picks away.
I don't know. Everything I heard.
If he doesn't go 21,
I thought Pittsburgh was going to take the other running back.
If Pittsburgh or if he doesn't go 21, the Browns probably trade up for Shador, is what I've heard, or Jackson Dart, one of the two. Because the Chiefs and Eagles wanted to move
there we
down.
go. Now there's Jackson Dart. Like, yeah, there's still a lot to do.
Apparently, the Giants want Dart now because Dable and Shador had like a terrible coach meeting.
Yes,
coach player meeting.
That is true.
It was
no shit shirt.
Yeah, but it was legendary bad. Like this is
it was bad.
This is going to be a YouTube Netflix documentary in a couple of years. Apparently, it was like nasty bad.
I'm still not surprised.
Yeah, he tried to big time the coach and was like, I don't need you to put me through the ringer. And Dable was like, you're a rookie. I want to put you through the ringer and make sure you know the playbook. And Shador basically big timed him like, I don't need to know your playbook. And I guess Dable just lost his mind. So yeah, I hope.
I mean, he's not wrong. Dable's gone next year anyway.
Yeah, no,
okay, it's the best thing.
Both things are true. You know, Dable's a terrible.
No, that's what Dable's losing his mind because he's like, there's nothing I can do. I still have to do.
Yeah, I mean, talk about how many divas can you have on a roster? They already have neighbors who's extremely talented. Like he's probably just like, I can't.
It's New York. You can have as much as you want. It's New York.
This is true.
True.
There you go. Oh God. Oh God. Oh, okay. Before more bullshit starts happening in the draft, how about we draft?
Yeah, so I do have some news and notes real quickly. There's a lot of changeovers with quarterback. So Ken Whisenhunt is officially out, and apparently one of the things that Memphis reported was that they had basically decided who the quarterback was to start week 1, and there was no real open competition. And apparently that was a big divide between Ken Whisenhunt. They weren't sure he was bought in. He basically just looked like this quarterback is going to start for us. EJ Perry, and so the new coach Turner basically is going to try the new quarterback Wynn, who actually played with the Rams, who actually had NFL experience. So like if you looked at it from an NFL pedigree, Wynn is actually the most talented quarterback on the roster. He just never got a chance to play, even though he was signed late. Apparently he wasn't even given reps to even compete. So he's going to actually get the start. He's minimum price, so there's going to be there's that. And then Case Cookus is the starter for the Stallions, who is about $2,000 underpriced. Max Duggan is the starter for the Battlehawks because Manny Wilkins is on the IR. But he looked bad, but he has the biggest college pedigree playing with TCU in their national championship run team. So he looked good, but he just looked really super nervous. But also, he wasn't in the game plan. Like, he didn't do the walkthroughs that week. He wasn't anticipating being a starter. So, yeah, was he a bit nervous? I bet he was. He hasn't started in 2 years. So, but I still think he's got supreme talent. So there's that. And then, so we do have to decide what at quarterback I think is the biggest move. Because with all this value at quarterback, we could afford the Sailors, for example. And then we talk about the Battlehawks. We finally have Hakeem Butler returning, one of the offensive, dominoes of XFL and UFL history. So, I mean, he is what, 6'7"? He's legit the biggest guy in the league. That's not even hyperbole. So I do think it matters. He's down to 6,800. I think those are the big notes so far.
Yeah, I mean, I have my dummy lineup set. Also, Hakeem Butler's listed at 6'5", 227.
Fair enough, but he's still the biggest dominant offensive player in the league, right?
He is. He's 6'5" receiver is still a very large receiver.
He is Calvin Johnson sized.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. There's really no corner that can match with him. But to your point, you were right, Don. I wanted to play him in week 1. I did play him in week 1. I was excited for him. He did actually play 1 snap in that game, just because I wanted to utilize his size. But you were scared of the hamstring, and you were right about that, by the way. But I'm almost ready to go back to the freak. So I do think when there's those freakish opportunities, you do have to notice. it is going to affect the offense. And so I do think maybe it affects Sailors in a positive way. I do think Max Duggan, by the way, is a positive for Sailors because he does tend to dump the ball off more. He's not quite the explosive runner that Wilkins is, even though he did get 10 rushes last week in his limited snaps.
But that was a dumbed down RPO playbook, probably.
It was. And like I say, he's not the athlete Wilkins is. He is kind of a runner, but he's more of a Tim Tebow style. Like, put your shoulder down. I'll be reckless when I run the ball. Where Wilkins is actually fast. Any other notes I'm missing?
Not that I know of so far.
Oh, this wide receiver from DC is only 4,000. He got like 7 targets last week. His name is Sanders. He looked to be the fill-in for Ty Scott. It was him and Rollins who basically led the team in targets last week. So him at 4K is probably going to be a very chalky option if you need value.
He got 6. Sanders got 6 last week, and
6.
I'll pull up 6 last week for Sanders, and then Rowland got 10, I believe, because Rowland's in my dummy lineup.
Yeah, Rollins is still somewhat of a value.
Yeah, Rowland got 10.
7K. So,
okay.
Did you watch any of last week? I knew the week before with Easter you were having trouble, so I wasn't sure if you were able to get any time in.
Well, last week was Easter, but like,
yeah, it was.
Yeah. I was able to like keep up on the scores, but no, I didn't get to watch a game. I was watching some more of the NBA and the Stanley Cup playoffs while I was at my family's house. So, like, there we go. I am currently looking right now to see what I want for a lineup.
Yeah. So, big notes is Birmingham game has 2 brand new quarterbacks starting, but that's the first game of the week. First game of the week, the Friday night game.
What I mentioned, Wind and then Case Cookus.
Yeah. And then Duggan gets his first official start as well.
I know NFL circles liked Win a lot, but we never really saw him in actual regular season. He looked pretty good in preseason. But some of these guys...
I've literally never heard of this Win guy.
Never heard of him?
Literally once in my life. And I watch preseason football.
Dresser Win. I feel like I've heard that name before.
What did he play for?
You said the Rams? He was like a Rams practice squad team.
He was one of McVay's like
Dresser Win.
Because like the last quarterback I can think of that kind of had good preseason games was the Georgia guy, Stetson Bennett.
Stetson Bennett. Yeah.
So when did he come around? Last year's preseason?
Yeah, he was there last year, I believe. But some of these guys haven't even got preseason. What's funny about Case Cookus, though, is like every time he gets an opportunity, he does really well, but no one gives him like the full-time role. So I just find that to be strange.
All right.
I mean, he just doesn't look great when he plays, in my opinion.
We'll see who we get in the lineup. There we go. What you got on him, Donnie?
Number generator.
Where'd he go to school at anyway?
Dresser Win was 1 for 4 last year in the preseason. And Stetson Bennett killed him in the preseason battle.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would play Stetson Bennett if he was available this week too, but he's not, Donnie.
Well, 1 for 4 didn't, that's not turning me on to want to play him.
I mean, McClendon is also a starter in this league. Like we talked about it in the review show, the injuries are a real thing in this league so far this year. I mean, we're seeing a lot of new quarterbacks this week. Kellen Mond might be the most experienced quarterback still starting out there this week. So I do think you got to do some deep dives. But you got a number generator?
I do.
All right. So first things first. Sailors or no Sailors?
First things first, we picked. I don't know.
Honestly, we'll do that.
A big question mark.
Again, that's the question we got to start every lineup with. Are we playing him or not?
We're
I
not
faded
forcing
him
him.
last week.
I also faded him. I don't want to force him, and if he happens to fit, he happens to fit. That's how I've been playing it.
I kind of want to make sure we get him in. So if I'm like taking him with my pick, just realize that.
Fair enough.
That's fair. I'm not mad at you picking him, but I don't.
Man.
I'm going 66. Will Campbell. Sorry, Logan. I stole your strategy.
No, it's pick 20, so I'm going to go 20. But the Bucks just took Mbuka. I think that's a great.
Oh, that's an amazing pick. That receiver core is so scary.
Yeah, that's going to be very good.
Mike Evans might be out the door next year because his contract's up.
Good. We'll sign him and replace Thielen. And then we'll have Evans, Tet, and Leggett.
I like Mbuka a lot. The only
I
problem
do too, but
he's not fast, and so that's why he's slowed a bit. But he's got all the ball skills to me.
All right. What was your number? Okay, actually it was
20.
Number is 80. So that's me, Logan, and Gov.
So Donnie's going to try to spend the money so you can afford
No,
Can you
not
two
exactly.
spend the money without taking a quarterback with your first pick?
Pick number 1. I'm just going to throw in Chris Rowland. 7,200, had 10 targets. The week before that, he had 9. It looks pretty clear he's the number 1 target.
Here's a question about Rollins I actually wanted to ask Donnie, so this would be perfect since you picked him. Would you rather go Rollins and just go like the 10 targets is locked in and like you expect 10 and that's like a good floor? Or would you be like, well, I'll take the value, the secondary value, whether that be Sanders or one of these guys and be like, well, I'll save so much money because somebody else has to go along with him? Or do you just want the number 1 guy for sure?
I mean, the number 2 guy's been changing. Last week it was Sanders. The week before that it was more McKinney. You don't know who's going to be the number 2.
Yeah, I guess that's the point. So if Rollins gets 10 targets, you think he'll pay off the 7,200?
Yeah.
I kind of agree with that.
If he gets 7 targets, he probably pays off.
Because there's not many receivers that actually have been getting as many targets. I mean, even Sal Cannella, who kind of has that same role where it's like he doesn't do anything explosive, but he gets a lot of volume. He's still only getting like 8 or 9 points a game. So with 10 targets, all he really has to do is average 1.5 points, and he's going to hit value at 7,200. So I like it. And we know DC might be a bit pissed off too because they just lost to San Antonio. So like they might be trying to prove.
This is an important game. We're at the middle point of the season already. Like you can't drop games.
Yeah. And Arlington's been pretty good too. So I actually could see like this is actually 2 good teams that might have to score. Like this isn't a game where you're playing Houston and you can kind of coast.
Is it bad I don't know the conferences yet? So I have to. I'm literally looking them up right now, so I can see if this is in conference.
You care about that shit, Donnie. I don't care, man. I really don't.
I care about it because only 2 of them will make the playoffs out of their conference. Yeah, that's pretty important.
See, but you're a nerds guy. You care about numbers. I just want to see good action.
I care about whether this is for first place in a huge first place game because San Antonio or St. Louis is gonna catch up. So DC or Arlington's probably gonna miss the playoffs. I mean, that's important, Logan.
It is.
It's not like the USFL side conference where it's Birmingham and Michigan are guaranteed to make the playoffs because Houston's not good enough and Memphis isn't good enough. So they're going to make the playoffs. Who's making it on the other side? XFL conference has 4 teams that are San Antonio doesn't look great, but 3 teams that are really good.
Mm-hmm. All right. It's my pick, right?
Yes.
It is. Yeah. Let me actually get some value here. I'm gonna go with. I can find them. I meant to select Memphis. Yeah, give me a Lathander. 5,300. I think there's a chance he actually is starting to be just as good as Adams. He's seeing good volume, averaging 33 yards a catch. The thing is he hasn't got the volume of Adams, but if he does, I think he could exceed it. Is what I was trying to say. Like I think he could become the starter if the volume was to uptick. And now you got a new quarterback. Who's to say that Lassiter wasn't the one sticking around with win later in the practice sessions? And we see that sometimes with a new quarterback. You know, they'll target the third wide receiver or the second wide receiver more. So I like that. Now, Gov, we left you plenty of money now.
Well then, okay. Let's see. We're gonna put in a little mini stack. First off, Sailors at running back.
Yeah. Okay, so that was an easy choice. But what did you think about me not taking Adams there? Because Adams is still getting the volume, but his production kind of dipped a bit. Where last, like, do you think that's me being too cute?
A little bit, but like it's not like it couldn't work, and we do need a little bit of salary saving.
Yeah.
I can see that.
It's just he's been averaging, like his averages impressed me, and I'm like, man, if he gets the Adams workload, he's gonna smash.
Well, I mean, they've been getting the same workload, kind of. Adams had 2 weeks of having like a bunch of targets.
I thought
that's it.
Yeah, you're right, actually, because I thought he got more targets this last week, but he only got 5. And Lassiter,
it's not crazy. And Lassiter got 10 week 3, so they almost have the same amount of targets all year.
I knew they had around the same amount of fantasy points. It just Lassiter is kind of boom or bust.
All right, the next play I want is Malik Turner.
I love this play. I also played this in my personal. Yeah. 6,100.
I've been trying to purposely remember the players and not just like focus on the team. So I'm really proud of myself there.
Yeah, give me that little mini stack of that game. I think that game's going to be a bit competitive. It's like you said, St. Louis is probably going to come back, but I like Michigan here.
Have you been talking to Double G? Because I believe we talked about our friend who won the mini max 2 weeks in a row. Gov. I believe Turner was a big portion of that. Like he's been on his bandwagon for quite a while.
He's having a solid season. Like I can't turn away. Like he's
really
too cheap. All right, so now it is back to you, Logan.
It's my pick?
Yep.
What do I want to do here? I'm going to give you some money, Donnie.
All right.
We're going to go Case Cookus. No. Yeah, we'll go Case.
I left you guys quarterback. Oh, boy.
No, we'll go Max.
I was going to say Case.
You got the Max to the back with the dude.
There's no one to pair with Case.
Yeah, we'll go Max because we got the money. Because we already got the Sailors pairing. And I think a lot of people Duggan's in a weird range where it's like you're going to pay up for a Perkins or you're going to pay down for a Case or a win. I think Duggan's underappreciated.
Yeah. I am going to go with the San Antonio defense.
San Antonio defense.
The Browns.
That leaves me with
I like it. They've been really bad getting sacks. They were really bad at getting pressure at the beginning of the year. But last week, they shot out of a cannon. I don't know if it was the new coach, the new defensive coordinator. I don't know if they just got new energy with Wade Phillips, finally giving way to the younger coaching staff or what. But that D-line, energized. It was very odd, Donnie.
And that leaves me with 6,700.
But that's just attacking Houston, right? You just don't like Houston. They do have a new quarterback, by the way. Totally like a Tim Tebow guy. Doesn't have any confidence in the arm, just runs around like a chicken. So I could see a bunch of sacks in this game.
Broncos just took a corner, Barron. I don't know where he's from, but
they did. Now the Steelers are on the clock, by the way. If you think if they're coming for a quarterback, Donnie, this would be it.
They said that they want 4 quarterbacks on their roster coming to training camp. So
Texas.
But besides the point. Or the pick I want. 6,700 is an awkward spot. I'm wondering, I will ask, does anyone want to move up from their plays? Any plays we want to move up to?
I would move down and try to get to Butler, personally.
Is anybody willing to move down?
No, but just be careful of the output because Butler is going to play. For example, I think last week we saw a running back that was listed as out the whole time, and he ended up playing. So don't pay attention to the out symbols on DraftKings; they can be very misleading.
Yeah, I really that 100 would be nice, but I don't want to move down defensively because I don't think any defense is really worth it here.
You can always move down a defense. Like rule of thumb, like if you need $100, just go down a defense.
Is Hakeem Butler really worth it in his first game of the season?
No, I don't think so right now. Like I think we could just like
find another guy, yeah.
So
that's 60.
And again, I don't
especially
mind
when we have
leaving
sailors.
And again, I don't mind leaving a couple hundred on the table.
If I was gonna have to pick in this range, I think because I don't want to pick White, who would be the play because he did lead the Houston.
I think it's probably Harris.
I think it's Harris. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking Harris, but I just don't know. You know who hasn't made an impact this year that I felt like would have?
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of San Antonio, Stevenson, the wide receiver, because I remember last year he had a pretty big role, and he's just not involved.
He really isn't, but maybe with a new offensive coordinator, we'll see him get more involved. I know they switched up some things. He was very emotional. It was the first time he ever was a head coach. He won the game. You could tell the players were playing for him. Oddly enough, I didn't know this beforehand. If you guys want a feel-good story on the way out, the kicker for the DC Defenders is actually his son-in-law. So the son-in-law was kicking the game winner against his future father-in-law, who was coaching for the San Antonio Brahmas. And by the way, the UFL microphones picked it up after the game, like a beautiful moment. And the
Steelers passed on him.
Take Harmon. Okay.
Yeah.
That's such a Steelers like blue collar, defensive lineman and the one's heard of that's just going to go in there and grind when everyone wanted the sexy quarterback selection. I think Miller.
Well, to be fair, not many teams want Shador. He scared most teams off.
I think
most GMs are scared of him.
Yeah, the Steelers want the offensive weapon. I think they want Milroe. I really do. I think they want to do some fun, creative things with Milroe.
Well, they did try to trade for Joe Milton, so maybe. Yeah. Maybe the Rams go quarterback.
Yeah. Speaking of Double J, though, he was like in our lineup last week. It didn't end up cashing, Gov. I'm sure you saw. We are 1-2. Do you think we can get back on the winning streak? Or we're 1-3 actually. I should.
I just barely lost the cash line in my tournament too. Oh my god, it was so sad.
I just barely missed mine.
In the last game, I came home from Easter and yeah.
But the contests are kind of so small at this point. I was telling Donnie during our review show, it's like you almost can't min cash because you almost min cash by accident because it's like the contests are so small that when you're in the money, you got to pretty much just hope you can shoot up the board. Because for example, I think the first place and the single entry is only like $12. Which I'll take a $12 entry to win 12 every week. Like we're going to continue to do that. Like I have no problem doing that. But when you play in these small contests, I think you got to shoot for upside.
Definitely.
Case Cookus is going to be the highest owned quarterback for sure. I think.
I don't want any part of this Birmingham game. I'm scared of the weapons. I don't know who's going to be the favorite target for Cookus. I don't like Case Cookus, honestly. He doesn't ever do anything notable. The offense is going to be super conservative.
You know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of like a Ryan Fitzpatrick of the spring football leagues. Like he does fun things. He's energetic. He has like a good story, so people buy in. Like there's good storylines. But you're kind of right, Donnie. When it comes to the productivity and actual talent, he's just not good enough. Like He's a cool, fun story, Cinderella kind of vibes, but he's not good enough to be like a dominant player.
He reminds me of Brian Hoyer. That's who
Yeah.
he reminds me of.
Not-
Like, Ryan Fitzpatrick is too much of a
Wow.
compliment. He's spring football's Brian Hoyer. He's always around.
I totally was playing him, right? But I'm like, no, the ownership's going to be too high. Max Duggan actually has NFL experience, similar to Win. And you guys can joke about not knowing who Win is, but like he got chances.
Well, Case Cookus does too.
I don't think anyone in the NFL took Case Cookus serious.
If no one took Case Cookus seriously, no one took Win seriously. We got to draw a line at some point.
Maybe. But Max Duggan was actually on a good college team. I think everyone's he was a bit skittish in the first game.
I like Max Duggan.
He wasn't supposed to start in this last game, so of course he was a bit nervous. But I actually think he's pretty talented. He actually probably throws a better ball than Manny Wilkins. He's just not the athlete. Here's another fun fact I forgot to mention. Apparently, they might not go with Perkins the whole game because Michigan was saying that Danny Etling never lost a job. He never lost his job. He got hurt. And I guess the coach made a promise that no quarterback was going to lose their job due to injury. So apparently they might run a 2-quarterback system, even though Perkins has played at like an MVP level. So
that would suck so bad. Just
that makes no sense to me, but I just want to mention that from a DFS perspective.
Those two guys should go do something off either on the field in practice or whatever and figure it out and be like, all right, winner gets the job, whatever, like something.
I mean, I know this.
I just think Michigan should trade Danny Etling. Why are we doing this still? Perkins is the guy.
Well, it was even. I think it was Lou Holtz.
Well, how about you get in touch with the GM of one of the teams?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, though. The Stallions did this in week 1, where they were thinking about doing the 2-quarterback system, and Matt Corral and Alex Magoo said, please don't do that. Like, we'll both play in this team, but if one of us starts, let the other one finish the game. They did not want to have any part of the.
I remember Corral and what's his name? Why can't I think? Adrian Martinez were the same way. They didn't want to do it either.
They didn't want to do it, and they were forced to last year a bit, and it didn't work out well.
They were forced to when Martinez played bad.
All the way out of the draft and ended up in the UFL. I want that. I just saw.
No, I mean, no, he really turned off most GMs with the way he was carrying himself.
It is weird.
It'd be horrible for him. It really is.
Perkins literally probably has overtaken Sailors though in terms of MVP, in terms of performance, and to see him bench just because the coach had a like handshake agreement with Danny Etling that when he came back,
Perkins was always the starter, and Etling always shared snaps since week 1. That's been the thing.
Sure, but I'm saying like if you're not saying, hey, this guy won the job, he's an MVP candidate. Sorry, Danny, you're not even going to get in the game. Like, I don't understand why you would go back to the 2-quarterback system.
I don't get the 2-quarterback system for Michigan either, but because everything Danny Etling does well, Bryce Perkins also does well.
Okay, but is that like a feel-good thing? Is that like, Danny, you missed a couple weeks. We don't want any bad PR. We're going to say that you're involved in the game, but really Perkins is going to get 100%. Like if you had to play this game, if it was like a showdown, are you playing it like Perkins is 100% the starter?
I'm not scared of Danny Etling's 4 pass attempts that he's going to end up having because he always does.
If he has 4 pass attempts, that's 3 too many, in my opinion. And that includes blowouts. Like, I don't want to see that guy. Perkins has earned the job. I'm sorry.
He has, but, it is what it is.
I actually think Perkins is the MVP this year, not Sailors.
Sailors
never
like
unless someone trades back up. Cam Ward is the only quarterback who's going to go in the draft.
Jackson Dart will go for sure. I don't. Maybe Shedeur won't, but Jackson Dart. Yes, that will happen. And the Rams still are up. The Rams need a quarterback to replace Stafford. They were already thinking about it. You might as well, if he falls, you might as well take him.
Apparently, the Rams are interested in Dart. Apparently, that would be the McVay guy. That's what I had heard.
Just play Stetson
Bennett. He's pushing 30.
Yeah.
When Dresser Wynn comes out and balls, he's gonna be like, "What the fuck? I had the guy." Sorry.
Actually, Dresser Wynn's getting old too. He's almost 27 now.
I do need.
Oh God, 27.
I do.
Oh.
Yeah.
I do need this.
I feel so ancient. I don't know if I can do this show anymore. I'm clearly a fossil.
And for an NFL quarterback to get a start, yes, that's getting like the first start is 27. That's weird.
Okay, I'll give you that. Yeah.
I do need Jim Harbaugh to do me a favor here. He loves defense. I have the Alabama linebacker Campbell in the first round. I have a bet that he has to go in the first round. So hopefully one of these picks here. I think the Packers would go defense as well. The Vikings are the interesting pick because they don't have a lot of picks, and they're just a weird team. They're like
I think you go D-line if you're the Vikings. Like the Vikings, I think you just pile up on D-line. That's what you're missing.
I think they do something similar to what the Patriots did, where you just like take the best off of the linemen. You say like JJ was hurt.
They don't need it.
I don't know. You can never have too much offensive line, but defensive line too. I mean, every team needs an edge rusher. You even see the Giants. Like, by the way, the Giants could have a scary good defense. I think that's not being talked about. I really like the kind of NASCAR look they could have on defense. Any other UFL thoughts? We didn't have you for the review show. So was there anything? Because you were winning there for a while. I thought you were ahead of us.
I just didn't have the right pieces in the last game, and like we said in the show, as much as I like that first game, which is what a lot of my lineup was, that last game was kind of key.
Sometimes Go ahead, Donnie. What do you got?
The Packers just picked a running back.
Wait, who did the Chargers?
No, sorry, it was the Chargers. Okay, I was like, what?
Yeah, the Chargers.
No, the Chargers needed a running back. They just last year they used
they signed Najee.
Scraps of Baltimore.
Hampton, he's a first round running back. He just played for a bad ACC school, but he can play.
That's interesting. I mean, the Chargers are going to run the football a lot. We know that.
I did bet.
They needed two backs, and they had Dobbins and Gus, the remnants of Baltimore. Like, that was literally Jim and John, like, hey, give me some running backs, man, to start in the league. I need some guys I can trust.
I didn't have them only taking two running backs to go in the first round, so I don't need any more running backs, please.
Is there anyone else even in the conversation there? Like,
that's why I texted that Donnie, but please don't ruin it because, like, you never know. These gentlemen just pick up.
I don't believe in jinxes, Logan. It's either going to happen or it's not.
East Carolina special teams running back or something, and all of a sudden, like Bill Belichick was always good for that. He'd find like the defensive lineman or offensive lineman nobody knew about and take him in the first round. You're like, what the hell?
Yeah, Cole Strange, Kyle Duggar. Kyle Duggar worked out, to be fair.
Man, the problem is to be so much better when I first started betting. The market has really been swamped. But I was saying though, I really like that the contest is small in some ways because sure, there's like not a whole lot of money at the very top, but you almost like see the same names. Like I saw you and Double J. You see a lot of the same names. You kind of build like a kind of ethereal, like, I
did see a lot of Double J in my contest.
That's exactly. You don't gotta get that crazy. You're like, hey, I know what these guys are doing. I kind of get this. Like, I don't know. It kind of feels very communal to me. I like that it's kind of niche in a way. I do wish the prize pools were bigger. Could we see? I still think like a Rock or a promotional team should just throw a couple $1,000 every couple of weeks, like for the playoffs. Like, say it's the playoffs week 1 to UFL. If the Rock was like, hey, we're going to donate $3,000 for these DraftKings contests, I think that would help out a lot. I don't know. Maybe that's just me being selfish.
I don't notice the Rock that involved anymore.
They don't. They're not going to do it for UFL. They'll get sponsors like that for free contests and that for NFL.
Yeah, you're probably right.
But they'll also get 1,000 times, 10,000 times the people.
Oh, we didn't talk about my favorite pick of the draft.
The other reason you see the same names in these contests is because it is the same people playing.
Yeah.
I just.
That's a very relevant good point.
I completely forgot we didn't mention my favorite pick of the draft. The best fit for any player. Genty going to the Raiders. Oh, Pete Carroll's going to have a field day with that. It's Pete Carroll's offense. It's Pete. Oh, come on. That's a rookie running back I'd consider drafting high in best ball.
I like it a lot more that the wide receiver. I like it more that the wide receivers seem to be falling. Like Burton's falling. And so, like, because they need offensive weapons. Like, the Raiders need another wide receiver. So if they can pair Genty with a offensive weapon in the second round, I like it more. But I have to see the complete draft. But I don't think there was a bad spot for Genty to go. I think he
oh my God, the Thunder are getting killed.
Yeah, no, I saw that too. I'm like, wow, Memphis is taking. Wow, they're playing well at home. This is going to be.
I turned on the game and I saw that Scottie Pippen Jr. is the most trending NBA player in the U.S. right now.
Yeah,
so
he's
he must be
hard.
Scotty.
He played hard for 2 years.
Shea? What, like, why is he trending?
21, 3, and 3 in a half for Scottie Pippen.
No,
that's a half.
Scotty.
That doesn't surprise me though. He's been playing good for 2 years.
Okay, then. 21 in 13 minutes?
I mean, that's a
Damn.
good. Don't get me wrong. That's a good game for him. But I feel like he's been earning his minutes. And
he's earned his minutes for sure, but like,
yeah,
that's insane.
Now we'll have to ask Double J in the comments because we started with NBA last review show and he got upset at you, Donnie. No, we waited to the 46-minute mark. By the way, I'll add that to the timestamp. So there was a purpose behind that. So thank you, Logan of the future. Do you think Double J will get mad at us now that we wait to the end of this show to talk about NBA?
I have not paid any attention to the games really today because I knew the first game was NFL draft time and all the top 10 picks, so I wasn't paying attention to that. And Jimmy Butler status. Speaking of NBA, he no structural damage, so his tailbone's all right. That's good.
Yeah,
he's got a sore ass.
My mom, who doesn't follow.
I think like I've watched that play probably 1,000 times on Twitter from multiple different angles, and like all I can say is Draymond was boxing the guy out a little lazily, but at least he wasn't being over aggressive and throwing elbows doing it like he normally does.
Yeah.
Amen slips while he gets through and does what a normal reaction is, arms out to brace your fall.
Yeah.
That just happens to coincide perfectly with Jimmy Butler going through the air for the rebound, and then you get the flippity-floppity flip.
That's what I texted Logan. I didn't think it was dirty. It was just super unfortunate.
Something tells me it's not dirty on any part, but there's I have to try to blame a Houston guy. Otherwise, everyone's just gonna point at Draymond for no reason.
It's not Draymond's fault.
But when have you ever said that?
Speaking of a bad hit, Ja just had a much worse fall.
I don't have the game on right now. Oh God,
that's bad.
Here's the thing: it's not Draymond's fault this time, but it's Draymond's fault for getting that reputation because he got that.
Also, Steven Adams was there, and Steven Adams tripped him as well in between Draymond. So it's like both teams. And
that's the thing. Like there was Steven Adams, there was Podziemski, there was Draymond trying to box him out with a little like hip toss to the left. That's the push everyone says, but like that's a normal box out. He just was kind of lazy with it. At least, and like I said, at least Draymond didn't go full Draymond and think it was Steven Adams and throw a fucking elbow backwards.
You know what? Ja's like the least player.
Oh damn, he is down.
I don't feel bad.
This is what I
don't feel bad.
I really hate to be I told you so, dude, but like I don't know what the play was, but like this is what I've always been worried about with Ja.
It was a pass backwards. It was a bounce pass by Scottie Pippen backwards to Ja, and Ja tried to jump and dunk on somebody, and he contact and fell really bad.
Gov, I know you're not Italian.
It's like I feel bad for him. But that's how he plays, very aggressively like that. And
I don't because it's John. He gets what's coming.
The way he's built.
Hold on, I gotta jump in here because I don't know. I know Gov's
okay.
It looked like you did
it just came into my head, and I really want you to end the show on this. Would you say this was a bang bang play?
I thought maybe that's what you were doing. Fair enough. Good night, guys.
Good night, everyone. Peace out. I'm a horrible